Welcome everyone to GamesBeat in Conversation. My name is Rachel Kaiser, GamesBeat's news writer, and I am happy to be joined today by Tim Fields, the Chief Operating Officer at Virtuos. So, hi Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm excited to be here and visit with you.
So, we're going to talk a little bit today about something called external game development, which I'm given to understand Virtuous knows a lot about. So, can you maybe tell me a little bit about what external game development is and what purpose it serves in the modern game industry?
Absolutely. So, for the last 20 years, Virtuos has been one of the leaders of distributed and external game development. What this means really is that when you've got a video game that you want to make, it is usually not ideal that you try and build all of the game in a single place with a single team. This forces you to have very, very large teams, and it forces you to develop expertise in all kinds of things that you may only need for a short period of time. And so, distributed or external game development is a technique that we all came up with a long time ago for helping make sure that you could engage experts in different things, different parts of game development around the world. Uh, and you can do that in a way that it really suits the specific needs of a particular project at a particular time. And so, this lets game publishers, developers access experts around the world at different price points to help build games. That's what we do.
So, sounds like you do a lot for the studios that you work with. Can you maybe give me an example of the kind of work that you do specifically?
Sure. So we do everything from full game developments, brand new games, game remasters, game remakes. So, for example, recently we launched the Elder Scrolls Oblivion with Microsoft and Bethesda. And that's a product that we built entirely. And it's a loving remake of one of Bethesda's OG Elder Scrolls games.
So, we all love Oblivion here, so congratulations on the launch of Oblivion Remastered, by the way.
That's an example of a game where we did everything from character design to building out environments to some new gameplay features. So everything from storyboarding, 2D animatics, previs, layout, body and facial animation, rigging, core gameplay, all of those things. And that's the kind of stuff that Virtuous has thousands of people around the world who are experts in.
So, you really have a sort of the ability to do anything for the clients that you work with because you don't do full game development for every single one of your games, right?
That's exactly right. So when a client comes to us and they need something built, we spend a lot of time working with them to try and figure out what is it they're looking to do, what are the constraints and the timelines, parameters, what technology do they use. So we spend a lot of time in Unreal and in Unity and also in a whole bunch of different proprietary engines. And so, particularly as games have become more complicated and more expensive, this gives people a way to come to market faster, to not carry as much in fixed costs, and to not have to develop um, every single type of expertise that's required to ship a game, which can be really expensive and hard to do.
I have to ask, like, what are the pros and cons of running a system like that? Because it does sound like it's a whole ecosystem.
It is, and I think you're right, Rachel. That when you imagine a game development studio, what you imagine is 20 or 30 people, great friends, probably all sleeping under their desks and working in the same room trying to build something. And that's the way it used to be, and that's the way we started in this business. But because the games have become so much more complicated, many of them, particularly AAA games, can require 300 or 400 people working on a game to get it to market. And so by distributing these types of expertise around the world, you can draw upon the best talent in the world at different types of things. And you can also help adjust price points to make sure that you as a game maker are getting to pick and choose where you want to spend your resources. You shouldn't have to worry about who exactly is doing what, where, and when. What you should have to worry about is what matters the most to you for your game. When do you need it done by? Um, what's the level of quality that you're trying to hit? And what are the financial constraints that shake your development plan.
I can also see why that would be advantageous to have so many different perspectives. Such a diverse team, if you will.
It brings huge amounts of diversity to everything about the product and everything about the production process, and that's great because mostly we didn't have that 25 years ago. The speed with which you need to be able to respond to changing player tastes or um, changes in platform or changes in the way communities work is very, very high now. You don't get the luxury of time that you used to get for these things, and so an investment in getting good at working with distributed external development um, can provide you a ton of flexibility for not just this game, but your next 5 games at that studio. That I think is the real advantage here.
So I'm curious what role you think external development is going to play in the future of the industry, both near and far, because the games industry has definitely changed over the last 5 years, if not the last 10.
Drastically. You know, there are about 3 billion gamers in the world today. And over the next 20 years, we will add another billion, roughly. And these are people who want to play lots of very different types of games. And some of them are tiny, wonderful indie games that they play on mobile phones. And others are huge AAA masterpieces that take thousands of person years to create. And increasingly, small, focused teams with a clear vision who can take advantage of distributed developments in order to bring on the types of skills they need, the types of partners that they need when they need them, um, and then bring their games to market in a timely, affordable fashion. Those are the teams that are going to win. And they're going to win because they're able to build games that a bunch of players somewhere in the world fall in love with. And uh, I genuinely believe that distributed game development is the structure that will allow us to continue to delight um, those 4 billion gamers over the next 20 years.
Again, I think the understanding would be that it can be large game studios because you mentioned Oblivion Remastered, and so that was something that was done with Bethesda. Bethesda is not a small studio, but can you tell me maybe if there's also an advantage to external development and distributed development, for smaller studios? So maybe double A, if not indie as well.
In many ways, for smaller indie teams, it's even more important because you and your 10 closest friends who are building that game you love, what are the odds that you've got a truly first class rigger? Where you're going to need that in order to get your characters rigged and animated properly. And because you're all really smart, you can learn to become masters of that. But the truth is that um, it takes a lot of time to achieve mastery at a discipline and a skill. And mostly, life is too short for us to all become grandmasters at everything we want to get good at these days.
Since you mentioned the example of, the 8 to 10 friends in a small office, at least would you say that something like external development is the reason those people don't have to sleep under their desks in order to complete a game?
I think it can help a lot with that. Right? Um, the amount of work required to bring any game to market is always high. It's always so much higher than than anybody believes it will be when you're first dreaming up the idea for a game. And distributed development is a way to minimize the amount of crunch and overtime that you have to put in and let you focus your efforts on the things you're truly great at.
And sort of a final question that sort of ties all this together, I think. What advice would you give to young studio heads who are building the next generation of development who
When you're starting up a small studio, make sure that you are crystal clear on what you want to build, why it provides something unique in the market that others don't do, and make sure that the people you surround yourself with share that vision, uh, are experts, and have the passion to go through the hardship of creating and birthing a new game. Um, and if you do those things, and if you're able to figure out the right places to focus internally and the right types of partners to bring on for external development, um, then you have a good shot at making something wonderful. And we're seeing games around the world right now. Expedition 33 is this week's great example of a game that was built by a relatively small team with a lot of focus and a lot of originality, and that speaks to gamers. And that's wonderful.
And on that note, Tim, I think we should both get back to playing Oblivion Remastered.
That sounds like a great way to kick off the weekend.
And thank you for watching. For more stories, check out the latest at GamesBeat.com.